This podcast is a member of the Voices of Wrestling Podcasting Network. Visit voicesofwrestling.com to hear the rest of our great podcasts, as well as show reviews, columns, opinions, and updates across the world of wrestling.
Welcome back, everybody, to Wrestling Omakase. It is episode number 219, and this week I am joined by a returning guest. Hello, Hayley.
Hello.
How you doing today?
I'm doing okay. I've been really busy lately, but, you know, good busy.
Good busy. Definitely better than bad busy.
Yeah.
Have you, been going out at all since, the world is sort of restarting, I guess? Or at least America is, I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, my friends all of a sudden, they're like, we can go places. They want to hang out. So
Yeah.
I've been out. It's really weird, though. People, I'm surprised that, I barely see anyone wearing masks anymore because it's not,
Really? Everybody here still wears them. I don't know. Maybe that's interesting that wherever you are. I don't remember where you are in New Jersey, but in the Bronx and Manhattan, everybody still wears them. Especially even in stores that no longer have the signs up requiring it. Everybody here still wears them. So that's interesting.
Yeah, nowhere here requires them anymore.
Yeah.
I think there's one place here, one coffee shop that requires them still. Other places say, well, if you're vaccinated, you can come in.
Yeah.
But it's they don't ask you for your vaccination card or anything, so you could totally walk in.
It's all Scouts honor.
Yeah.
I'm sure the people who are either stupid or crazy enough to not take their free miracle vaccine are definitely gonna follow those honorable rules. So, but anyway, let's. It's not people hate when we talk about COVID, so sure talk about. I mean, I can imagine. Can you imagine being in I don't know some other country? Because I remember I've talked to foreigners, people from Europe and stuff about this, and even people who live in Japan, where they're like, do you know what it's like for us when we hear that Americans have been able to get it for 6 months and just 20 to 30% of them are like, I don't want that. I'm like, yeah, I'm sure it must be infuriating. But
it's so weird because literally didn't they start offering up cars to people, and they're if you get a vaccine you enter a raffle for some ridiculous amount of money, and it's the fact that they have to go to these lengths and people still won't get a vaccine it's just so bizarre.
Yeah, I don't know. I remember when I was, this was even over a month ago now, I think, when I was, or maybe even 2 months ago, I was hanging out with my friends and we were at this hibachi place in New Jersey, and they happened to be playing, I remember this because it was the very first day that New Jersey reopened bar seating. Because I remember we sat at this bar in this tiny suburban hibachi restaurant, and it was like, wow, it's great to be at any kind of bar again finally after all this time. Because I think New York had only reopened bar seating maybe a week or two before New Jersey did, maybe a little earlier, but I think it was only a week or two. And I hadn't been to one before they did that. And we were sitting at this bar waiting for our table, and they were playing a it was like a concert, like a fucking tribute concert, or what do they call those things? Those like I totally can't think of the word. Where they have the all day marathons to try to raise support for whatever. It doesn't matter what it's called, but they're playing this concert, and the whole point of it is to raise awareness about the vaccine. And I just remember one of my friends turning to me and being like, "This is rock bottom. We have to have celebrities and famous singers come on TV and tell people, please go take your miracle free vaccine." Please. And it's like we have to put an entire primetime TV block on a Saturday night aside of this for like vaccine aid. And I was like, okay, yeah, this is probably rock bottom, I have to say. It's but anyway, other than that, watch any good anime lately? I don't know.
Yeah. I've been watching. For this season, the show I've been watching is the second season of Zombieland Saga.
Ooh, my friend loves that show.
I'm obsessed with it. It's so good. Last episode actually made me cry.
Oh wow. This is about the zombie idols, yeah. For people, yes. Yeah. So I saw like one episode. I should check it out later. The only thing I've been watching is Nicole and I have been we finished the time I was reincarnated as a slime, Tinsula, and we finished season 2, part 1. And Nicole was like, "I want to rewatch all of season 1 now because I barely remember it." And we're like, "Okay." So we've almost finished that. We're like, I think we have like 2 episodes left to finish rewatching season 1, and then season 2, part 2 is going to start, I think, in like 2 weeks. So I don't know if you're into that show or not, but
that's like on my list of things to watch. But yeah. I still have like things that I'm in the middle of that I need to finish. Like I have ReZero season 2 part 2 that I'm like part of the way through, but I needed a break because that show like crams a lot of information in at once.
I think all the izakais do that, I think.
Yeah.
They're all like just information overload.
Well, it's like more like the plot is like very weird and complicated at this point of the show that it's like,
oh, I see.
It's
like building layer after layer to layer, right? One of those shows.
Yeah.
Yeah. I haven't seen ReZero, so it's one of the ones I need to get. My friends all tell me to watch that one because I usually do like izakais. So not all of them. I mean, there have been izakais I've watched where I'm like, wow, that's horrible. So like, okay, here's a great example: Overlord, terrible show.
That doesn't look like anything I'd want to watch.
It's really, I could barely get through a few episodes of it. It's really terrible. But yes, there's most izakais I watch I like. But there's some of the genre they're just not interested in doing anything interesting with it. So, it's definitely because it's a very cookie cutter genre right now. It's like anyone can feels like they can make a buck with it. So there's a lot of stuff that just isn't watchable. But it's like the dominant genre. So I don't know how much longer that's going to last, but I guess we'll see.
I don't know. I'm usually not an isekai person because they're mostly like Western fantasy, which I'm not really into. I think today I did more Eastern fantasy isekai, which is, I guess, like Inuyasha or Fushigi Yugi. I think are the only ones I can think of that are like that.
I love Fushigi Yugi. I don't know if you're yeah, I love that show. I've never seen Inuyasha, honestly. I mean, other than a few episodes, but I've
only seen a few episodes, but like, I mean, it's kind of one of those shows where I want to watch more of because the concept is really good, I guess.
The Western, like the ones that I like that are like sort of Western fantasy, they're like the ones that play it more like a JRPG, which can also have a lot of Western fantasy elements. Like, there's a lot that are like that, I think. But the ones that like lean really heavy into like, being more like fucking Lord of the Rings, it's just like, okay. I don't have any interest in that either. But
yeah, no, that's the same with me. Like, it has to be like the ones that are like JRPGs are really funny to me because like, sometimes I play like like a lot of the like RPG mobile games that are like the Japanese RPG mobile games that are really popular. And so every time I watch the shows, it's like, oh, it's just like playing a video game. So it's kind of like funny for me.
I know you're like the mobile game queen because I remember when I was talking to you about Majia Record last time you were on, you already knew the whole plot because you'd already played the game, I think.
Yeah. Well, that one actually, the English language server for the North America actually shut down.
Ah, That's all before the game could finish. In other words, like before you could get the whole plot.
Yeah, I mean it's still
Yeah, that
open in
sucks.
Japan, but like I guess they weren't making enough money outside of
I see.
Japan to continue it.
That sucks. I mean, I know the anime is going to continue, but who knows how much more of the story that'll get to.
Yeah, and of
But
course there's always, there's people who will like this is how I ended up watching the story eventually because I got sick of playing the game. There's people who just put all the story like scenes in all the story chapters on YouTube with subtitles.
oh, I see.
So that's how I got most of the plot.
Right. So they're still doing that at least, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah, are you planning to go to Otakon, by the way?
Nope.
No, it's too soon for you.
Well, I've just like I've never been to Otakon, and
Oh,
also
really?
like I've never I don't have anyone who's going, and I don't want to like go all the way to Baltimore by myself.
Yeah, that's fair. We're going, so I'm starting to get excited because we're about like 6 weeks out, I think, maybe 7. I don't know. I'm bad at math. I'm bad at like math in my head, but no, yeah, almost 7. It'll be 7 as of Thursday. So I'm just excited to go back to a con again. It's gonna be fun. I wish Anime Next could have happened. It was like 2 months too early, basically.
I
Otherwise,
know.
like August, they could have done it, but June was not happening. That's like for people listening. That's like the New Jersey. Well, it used to be North Jersey, then they moved it all the way to Lake City. Which I always think like there's now like a gap there. Like if someone else should try to run like a North Jersey / New York City fan con, because we have Anime NYC, but that's like very heavily industry. So more like a fan anime con. It feels like there's a gap there, but I don't know. Because Anime Next is basically a different market now. It's like closer to Philly. So, but I assume you're going to go to Anime NYC, right? If you
most likely, I'm kind of waiting because I want to see if like I fear that there's going to be like a huge spike in like COVID.
Oh yeah.
Like as the summer goes on, so I want to see what's going on with that. But if everything's good, I am hoping to go to that. So
yeah. I mean, that is a good point. It's not till November, so it's like who knows what the fuck will happen between now and then. I'm hoping like if Japan can get some more people vaccinated, because it seems like they've really picked up the pace on that finally. Maybe we can have some Japanese guests at Anime NYC, but it's like, who knows really. I mean, somehow I think. Well, I shouldn't say this because it's actually not announced. There's a rumor that a prominent New Japan wrestler who is not currently announced is gonna be on that August show. And somehow, I guess like Kojima and Nagata have made it here. So it's not like Japanese people can't get in the country, but I assume the 2-week God, I can't think of words tonight. The 2-week quarantine when they come back is like makes it tough. So hopefully that'll be over by November, and then but I guess you really have to know months ahead of time, right, to book a guest. So who knows? I just hope it's not all like English voice actors, because God bless people who love dubs. I'm not trying to be a hater, but I just couldn't give less of a shit about English voice actor guests. But
yeah, I don't I don't think I really watch anime in English like ever. I think oddly enough, one of the few anime I watch in English is Yu-Gi-Oh, because that one's like nostalgic for me. But like newer anime, I always just watch it in Japanese.
Gotta have Brooklyn Joey. There you go.
Yes.
Joey Miller. Why did he came from Brooklyn? It's so good. It's so good. His Brooklyn rage. But yeah, I'm just thinking of his accent now, and Tristan's too, honestly, and especially the first Tristan. But I also love you.
Pregnant.
Yeah. Or the hair guy. Attention, duelists. No one, like 2 people probably have any idea what we're talking about, but I'm not going to say what the reference is. It's going to let people not know.
Yeah.
But yes, I forget what I was going to say now. Oh yeah. So the like for Otakon, I'll deal with all the guests are announcing are English voice actors. So I'm like, okay, for Otakon, I'll deal with it. Otakon's more like the appeal and going is like, it'll be a big party because everybody's happy to be back at the first con in a while, and plus there's so much like fan content, and it's not as big of a deal to me that they're not going to have any Japanese guests. But like Anime NYC has to have Japanese guests, otherwise that con is like that's supposed to have like big concert and like tons of industry people there, and they like if nobody can come to Japan for that con, I don't know what that con's going to do. It's going to be like, hey, do you want to see some English voice actors for the next 3 days? I'll be like, no, not really, thank you. But what do you know?
I mean, for me, I'll still be excited because I mean the main things I'm excited for usually are like seeing people's cosplay and going to like Artist Alley, and those are always pretty good.
Yeah.
So, I'll still enjoy myself. Also, of course, buying cute girl anime figurines that I really shouldn't be because I have nowhere to put them.
One of my friends like has basically for a long time. It was like every con he went to, he buy one figurine, and I want to be like, first of all, I don't know how you afford that because these things are like $300 and you go to like 4 cons a year. But second
I
of
don't
all,
buy those ones. I buy like the prize figures that are like $30.
Right. The ones I like I have a Sakura, obviously from Cardcaptor Sakura, not from Street Fighter, who I won at round 1, and you look it up online, it's like you can buy it for like $20. But look, I won her. Okay, I won her for like $850. So take that. Still came out ahead. But yeah, the prize figure ones, I know what you mean. But yes, he was like buying 3. He was like buying 3 or 4 of these like $300 figures a year, and finally, and he was like, "Oh," I was like, "You've really watched all these shows?" And he's like, "Oh no, sometimes I just buy one that looks cool, and then look up the show later." And I was like, "Okay, it's a lot of money to spend on something you don't even know what it's from." But
yeah, but I guess sometimes I'm like that. Like I really want to figure, and I'm like, I don't like. Sometimes it's from shows I actually like really don't like at all, just because like it's like pretty, and I'm like, I just want it. But like, like there's like, it's really funny because I have like the list in my head of all like the really expensive figurines that I want, but it's like I'm never like ever going to get them. I think the most I'll spend on a figurine is like, I mean, I guess Nendoroids are like usually 40, 45, and I think that's like the most I've spent on a figurine.
Nendoroid is I think Nendoroid is the most we've ever spent too. Did I ever get like any? I don't think I have any nicer ones because I have a Homer and Nendoroid, and I forget how much she was. She might have been more like 60, but I don't think I've ever spent more than that. So so that's Anime Corner, I guess. Get to well, people. I don't like another guy today like tweeting at me about how much he loves the anime talk on this show. So anytime I have a guest that can actually do it, because obviously if I bring on I don't know, I'm just gonna throw out a random voice of wrestling name. If I bring on Suit Williams and be like, "Hey, Suit, let's talk about Otakon and figurines," he's gonna have no idea. He's not gonna be able to really, contribute much to the conversation. So it depends on which guests you have, But before we get into the actual shows we're here to talk about today, which is DDT and Tokyo Joshi, I just want to remind everybody, of course, that the Wrestling Omakase Patreon network is still going, and it's still available for only $5 per month. We got a lot of cool stuff coming up, especially this week when we have a brand new Patreon exclusive episode, probably going up on Saturday, June 26th, which is a big episode for us every year. It is the annual mid-year awards. So we do that episode every year. We bring out a whole panel full of guests, usually all from the Voice of Wrestling site. And we got a cool panel lined up this year. Actually, I got the list in front of me. Let me grab them. We have Andrew Rich from the Music of the Mat podcast, and then written contributors Jerry, Kelly, Suit, who I just mentioned, and Paul Vosch. They'll all be on with me this coming weekend to do their mid-year awards. It'll be a really wacky year for the mid-year awards, trying to pick the best and worst. I've been started trying to think about it. I'm like, I don't know what to choose because wrestling's kind of sucked this year. But it's not going to be easy. So we'll do our best to give our best and worst picks for the first half of the year. And it's an episode I love doing every year because I feel like in the year-end awards, like January through June, has a tendency to get really short-shifted, because people, other than like the really big stuff, people tend to have a very strong recency bias in the year-end awards. So, mid-year awards let us really, highlight what happened in the first half of the year. It's going to be weird this year because it's been, like I said, a pretty shitty year for wrestling, but we're going to do our best. And that'll be, again, exclusive to the Patreon this year. So if you want to hear that episode, if you like it every year, got to sign up for the Patreon, which is at patreon.com/Wrestling Omakase. The other stuff we have is that we're coming up to the home stretch in our series of every Naito Tanahashi match in order. I just did the Tokyo Dome match from 2017. Which was obviously an amazing match. It was great to go back and relive it. And, the audio of that is up right now on the Patreon. And then we have the rest of the 2017 trilogy. I'm going to try to get through both of them this week. And then after that, we only have one match left because they only have one further match in the 2020 G1. And then after that, we're going to get back to the series reviewing every Tokyo Dome main event in order, since New Japan, of course, announced a new Tokyo Dome date for the end of July. So we left off in 1995 when we did it through January and February. So we're going to be, going through all the New Japan versus UWFI stuff. Just basically all the late 90s stuff with, All Japan running the Dome, the very ill-advised All Japan 2000 show. And, when I do the main event, I also talk about the rest of the show. I go through the great Eggshells book by Chris Charlton, give some notes from that, and just kind of, if I've seen the rest of the show, I go through it, or I, pick out some random facts or whatever. But obviously the main focus is on the main event, and we go, blow by blow through that. But yeah, that'll be coming up, probably not this week, but probably either starting next week or the week after, all on the Patreon, all exclusive, all for only $5. So again, if you miss getting the show every week, since we're now only every other week on the free feed, of course, every other week is a new Patreon exclusive episode. So you can still get a full Omakase every week, plus all the other bonus content we do. So it's patreon.com/Wrestling Omakase. And if you like the anime talk at the start, we might be doing a new anime Omakase on the Patreon soon. So definitely check that out. Okay. The shows we're going to talk about, the DDT, King of DDT second round, and the Tokyo Joshi additional attack show, both from Korakuen Hall. I think we'll start with DDT, and we'll start with the main event and work our way down. These are, two good shows. I would say two kind of opposite shows, where the DDT show to me had some really strong stuff on the undercard. But then I don't know how you feel about it, but maybe you felt differently. I thought it was a pretty lackluster main event. I mean, not like it was bad or anything in DDT, but like definitely disappointing. Where Tokyo Joshi was the exact, the main event, Harashima and Hino.
Okay.
Yeah. And then the Tokyo Joshi show was the opposite for me, where I thought the main event in Tokyo Joshi was awesome. I mean, that tag title match was so good, but the undercard was like a little, could have been better. But, so if you put these two shows together, you would have had one damn good show. But overall, I mean, these were still two good shows, but with some notable flaws, I thought. But yeah, I don't know if you have any big picture thoughts before we get into the match by match.
I agree with your assessment of the DDT show. I mean, I enjoyed all of the Tokyo Joshi show, but I also just like Tokyo Joshi is kind of like everything I want in a wrestling promotion. So of course, everything they did to me is like fantastic. So I'm a little biased.
I mean, I didn't think it was a bad show or anything. I've just seen them have way better Korakuens, I guess, over like all around. But I still thought it was definitely. I mean, just still a good show, but like a little under what I expect from Tokyo Joshi Korakuen, I guess. But yeah, let's get into it. We'll start with the DDT. So this was, of course, the King of DDT second round. Now, we covered the first round, again, not to sound like a broken record, on the Patreon. So again, patreon.com/Wrestling Omakase if you want to hear all my thoughts on all the first round matches. But this is only a 16-man tournament this time. In recent years, it's usually been longer. I think it was like maybe 31 men, because they had like a they had for sure one more round, but the big difference was they had like a last chance battle royal where all the people eliminated in the first round could come back and try to get a second shot into the quarterfinals, which they did not have this year. So it was just a straight up 16-man tournament, and the 8 losers in the first round just for losers, no second chances. But yeah, so we had 4 second round matches here, and then they did a redraw at the end of the main event, so there was no no clues based on who was going to the based on the brackets as far as who was going to beat who. So the main event here was Yuji Hino defeating Harashima with the fucking bomb in 24-49 to move on to the quarterfinals. This, it was really boring early on. You could tell they were going long here. There just was not much going on. And, Hino, the whole thing was like Hino tries to crush Harashima. Harashima keeps dodging. He eventually gets a figure 4. But it was just pretty slow and not super interesting. It was like it had the New Japan main event disease where the early part of the match just had nothing going on. And it's like, and sometimes that's okay in New Japan where like the rest of the match makes up for it, but especially when they're going 35 or 40. But here they're only going 25. So I just did not feel like we got enough to make up for it after the really boring early portion. And the other problem is the rest of it wasn't like super great either. Like at one point, Harashima went for a reverse Rana, but it was a pretty bad one. Hino just kind of like landed on his back without while barely going over. Just was not a good reverse Rana. Right after that, though, I thought things did pick up. Hino caught Harashima trying double knees in the corner and just sent him absolutely flying with this suplex of sorts. Like he caught him and then just kind of turned it into a suplex in midair. And then right after that, he ran him over with a gigantic lariat. But then Harashima came back with the Samato. Hino kicked out of it. So after Hino kicked out, Harashima went to town on him with kicks. Hino tried to grab him from behind for a German suplex out of nowhere, but Harashima grabbed onto his legs to block. Hino finally lifted him all the way over for the big German, but only got a 2 count. But pretty soon after that, Hino hits the fucking bomb. He goes for the one-hand pin, which I'm thinking is going to be like, okay, that's going to be Harashima's out, or Hino's out here when Harashima kicks out. He was too cocky. But Harashima's got pinned with one hand. That was it for him. So I was pretty stunned by that. But yeah, especially watching this live and unspoiled, I was like, okay then. And I guess the idea was, okay, we're going to make Yuji Hino look like a big monster, and he'll kick out the Samato, and he'll pin Harashima with his finisher with one hand. But maybe it succeeded in doing that. But as far as having a great match, I thought this was pretty damn disappointing. They just didn't click to me or gel at all. It started out very dull. Even the stretch run wasn't nearly as hot as it could have been. Some real awkward spots. Some stuff looked really good, but not enough of it. So this is a gentleman's 3 to me here. Definitely a 3-star match. Just it was fine, but disappointing compared to 2 of the earlier King of DDT matches that we're going to talk about. What do you think about Hino and Harashima?
I guess it was similar to me. Honestly, nothing really stood out to me about it at all. I don't know if it's just that it's kind of like a boring match in general, or if it's just not my type of match, but just yeah, it's really the previous matches I was super into, so I thought oh yeah, I was really hyped up going into this one, and then it was just it's kind of fell flat for me.
Yeah. Especially because the other matches were much shorter, and I think just very energetic, and then they went into this very long slog to start this match, and it felt like, okay, fun time is over. We're in detention now, I guess.
Yeah. At least their idea of a long slog match is only 25 minutes.
That's true.
25 minutes is the entire long slog part of a New Japan main event before we get into the next 20 minutes of
yeah.
Are they almost done yet?
I feel like most New Japan main events that have a long slog, it's 15. But that's still pretty unforgivable because it's 15 minutes of slog. And
yeah, well, it feels really long.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I guess we'll have to wait. I mean, there are times when they do. There's wrestlers who do the early portion of an early portion. I don't know why I just said early portion of a New Japan main event better than others. Like I thought the best at it this year was probably Naito and Ibushi at not the Tokyo Dome one, the New Beginning one, where they just spent all this time, all this early time that's normally super dull on Naito, like just working complete heel and like targeting Ibushi's. I think he targeted his legs, and they really made the early part of that match like super interesting. Which to me is like to get to that elite level match, which is that's my match of the year right now. Like you have, I'm not one of these people who's like if the last 20 minutes are awesome, but the first 20 minutes were super boring, we'll call it match of the year. It's like, no, the entire match has to be good for it to be match of the year. I mean, I can still give you like 4.25, maybe 4.5 stars, but like if you're going to be 4 3/4, 5 stars match of the year, you got to be good the entire time, which Naito and Ibushi were. There's a lot of matches though in New Japan this year that are not. So but yes,
I mean, I wouldn't know because I haven't really watched New Japan this year.
Yeah, did you see it, the Naito Ibushi, or no?
No, I actually didn't know they had a match this year until right now, and now I'm gonna go
search
it out. Oh my god, yeah, no, because I haven't been following it because I've just been like so disappointed by a lot of things starting from last year that like it's just like watching New Japan makes me like frustrated and mad, so it's hard to watch.
Let's see. But yeah, they had the one at the Tokyo Dome and they had the one at New Beginning, which was just for the Intercontinental title, which are both really good.
Oh yeah, no, I did watch the Tokyo Dome one. I did watch
Wrestling. But the New Beginning one, I think it's very slightly better because that early portion is better, like I said. So it's very close. But those, I mean, they're number 1 and 2 for my match of the year. So the semi-main event of the show we're talking about, King of DDT, was Daisuke Sasaki defeating Jun Akiyama with a cradle, quote unquote, in 4 minutes and 2 seconds. I should always note, as always, that the results are coming from Dramatic DDT. So thank you to Jamie and dramaticdt.wordpress.com. So Sasaki beats Akiyama in 4:02. Now, if you missed the first round, Sasaki beat the DDT Universal Champion Yuki Ueno in about 2.5 minutes by cheating. And now he beat the KOD Openweight Champion in 4 minutes by cheating. So Daisuke Sasaki is the superpower in DDT. Akiyama, this one was like Akiyama basically destroyed him from the opening bell, which I thought was really funny. He just fucking killed him and seemingly had him pinned right away with an exploder suplex before Paulie just pulls the ref out of the ring. Mad Paulie charges Akiyama, gets put down pretty easily by a backdrop suplex, but Sasaki then low blows Akiyama. He tries to follow up with a Rana, which he did to Ueno. I don't know if that's how he pinned him, or I don't think it was. I think Paulie was grabbing Sasaki from the outside, but he did follow up with a Rana against Ueno. Akiyama's ready for it though. He just like catches him and power bombs him down. That was a pretty cool looking high speed counter. Akiyama then had to stop himself from colliding with the ref, and that lets Sasaki low blow him again and cradle him for the pin. So it's tough to rate since it's only a few minutes long. Like I said, the second straight match for Sasaki like that. And I don't think it was quite as fun as a super quick Ueno match. So I gave it like 2.5 stars or whatever, but it doesn't really matter. It was fun for what it was, and it was funny for sure. And it's really more of an angle than a match. And, Sasaki is just like cheating his way through the tournament. And Akiyama's hopes of winning and getting he was going to name Shinshiro Takagi as his challenger at Kawasaki, which the moment he said that, I was like, oh yeah, you're not winning this tournament, buddy. Like when Tetsuya Endo was like, I'm going to nominate Kenny Omega as my challenger, even though the match didn't end up happening, it was like, okay, well, he's going to win the DO. But when Akiyama is like, I'm going to name Takagi as my challenger, it's like, okay, well, you're not winning this tournament. I don't know what to do. They're not main eventing this outdoor Kawasaki Stadium show with Jun Akiyama versus Shinshiro Takagi. It just was not happening. So, but there you go. Akiyama is gone, and Sasaki moves on to the semifinals.
I am personally rooting for Daisuke Sasaki to win the entire tournament like this. I think it's really funny. I was thinking because like normally like this kind of ending is like, in certain other promotions is very overdone and just makes me like frustrated and just roll my eyes when
you can say the name, All Elite Wrestling.
I was actually thinking WWE. I don't really watch AEW that much.
They both do it. I turn on AEW for 2 seconds every week, okay? This is my new thing. Instead of trying to watch full shows. And I turned it on this past Friday when I've been doing these weird Friday night shows. And what I got was a match between Orange Cassidy, who's great. I'm not trying to bury Orange Cassidy. A match between Orange Cassidy and some guy who I've never seen before, who had an entire stable full of like, it was like Dolph Ziggler's brother and Peter Avalon, the former librarian, and JD Drake from Evolve, who really should not be fucking lowering himself to do this. And the gimmick appeared to be that they were doing Rico from WWE in 2002, and because they were like styling each other's hair or something, and every time Orange got thrown out of the ring, they would style his hair on the outside, and then like 5 people ran to the ring, and it was a whole big mess. And I was just like, I don't know, it's like very weird and corny, and like sort of feels like an American DDT, but not nearly as funny. And that's just kind of, it really sums up DDT or AEW, I should say, for me. It's like American DDT, not as funny. But yes, I think the point you were going to make is that this was one match on this show that had this kind of finish, not 500 matches, which seemingly like every match on AEW. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Or that one like G1 where like Bullet Club were like ending every match like that, basically. Yeah. Well, they weren't low blowing anything, but they were doing other things. Like every match ended with cheating, too. I actually, oddly enough, a couple of weeks ago, I did start watching AEW again, just because I have nothing better to do. I didn't watch the last Friday one because I was watching Tokyo Joshi, but I watched the like 2 episodes before that one they aired, and it's definitely, some of the stuff is pretty good, but some of it really is just so bad.
I don't know.
It's just like, I'm just like, Cody Rhodes, stop talking.
Yeah. I mean, they do way too many run-ins, and it really annoys me that they like the pass they get for it too. But I don't know, like it's like, okay, did I turn on Dynamite? Yes, I did. So there must be 6 people who are not in this match at ringside, and they're already in the match. Yeah, that's exactly what's happening. And it's like, okay. But
yeah, I feel like they're trying to do the whole like New Japan thing of like everyone's in stables, but like they're not handling it too well.
Yeah, because like first of all, they have two. I know some people hate this criticism, but like for me who tunes in, on one like maybe 20 minutes a week or once in a blue moon or whatever, I can't keep track of all the stables they have now, and I don't know. Like New Japan has like what, 5 of them, right?
Yeah.
I can remember miscounting. It's like Chaos, LIJ, Suzuki-gun, Hontai, Bullet Club.
Bullet Club.
That's it, everybody. That's all of them, I think, right?
Yeah.
I'm not missing anybody, unless you want to be like, oh, Taguchi Japan. It's like part of Hontai, buddy. Also, go back to 2017. Person who doesn't exist. Just making up a person to get to scold. Because I just can tell somebody at their computer is going to be like, oh, Taguchi Japan. Anyway. And I guess like there's shit on Strong, but Strong doesn't count. I'm sorry. It doesn't exist. Joel from Super J-Cast can tell you whatever he wants. But... What, do you watch Strong?
No, I was gonna say I like forgot that it existed until you just mentioned it.
They're gonna do that show in August in front of fans, and it's like great. When you have people in the building, I'll be happy to watch. But yes, the point is though, New Japan has like 5 big stables, and I feel like AEW has like 15 small ones. And I definitely prefer 5 big ones to 15 small ones. And
I feel like they all have like kind of similar sounding names about how like they're the best. Whereas like, the stables in New Japan all have, very distinct identities, and that they aren't just like, like in AEW it feels like there's a Dark Order, and then there's like a bunch of different groups of like little annoying pricks going around and claiming they're the best. Then there's the Inner Circle. Those are like the only Dark Order and Inner Circle, I think, are the only 2 that seemingly matter. I don't know. The rest of them just, I'm like, who are you?
There's the Elite. There's the Pinnacle, which is
the
like
Elite.
MJF.
Is the Elite still together?
I don't know. Whatever the fuck they are. The Kenny and the Bucks and the Good Brothers and did they have anybody else? I don't even know.
I don't know. Bullet Club USA, I guess. That's what it sounds like.
The Pinnacle is the MJF one. Whatever I just saw from the what's it called? The fucking Rico WWE unit. Oh god, I'm really trying to think. The fucking the Cody anti-Cody
Nightmares. There's like Cody like
Cody,
Nightmares.
Cody has the Nightmare family. That's right. Totally forgot about that. But I was talking about the anti-Cody unit, the one that British man who wants to fight slavery and is supposed to be the heel belongs to, Anthony Ogogo.
Yeah, I mean, I know what you're talking about, but the same time, like, I don't remember what their name is. It's like it's mostly just a bunch of like nobodies who are there to get beat up by Cody.
There's the Best Friends. There's another one. Best Friends.
Oh, yeah.
And there's the Death Triangle. There's another one.
I guess that counts as a stable. Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't know. Is Moxley and Kingston a stable? I guess that's more of a team. Yeah. But then they seem to be like, I think they were teaming with Death Triangle recently, so maybe they're part of that. And there has to be some we're forgetting. I'm trying to think.
There's probably
like Britt Baker.
I was about to say is Britt Baker in something. Is there any like female stables, or is that just like the women are all on their own?
I think it's the Britt Baker thing. I think it's.
Because she has like a sidekick, but
yeah, maybe I overstated. It was just her and her buddy, but I don't know. I don't watch enough AEW to know all these fucking stables, but I think we might have named most of them. There might be more. I don't know.
There might be more. I don't know. I like literally took like over a year off from AEW. I don't know what's going on.
There's a lot of staples in AEW. I know people say like, "Oh, you shouldn't. You can't critique that. You have WWE brain." It's like, I don't like WWE either, but like maybe 10 stables is a little too much. I don't know.
Yeah, I feel like they could consolidate a lot of these because a lot of them are basically doing the same gimmick anyways. Yeah.
It's really,
like you can have 10 stables if all 10 stables have like unique identities, but like most of these like don't. They're just like kind of, I guess, clones of like the Inner Circle, but like I guess the Inner Circle like has Chris Jericho, so it's more prominent. Yeah. Whereas the rest of them are just kind of like, who is this?
Yeah.
And then there's the Dark Order, which is like the only one that seems different. Yeah. I guess Death Triangle, if they count as a stable too.
Yeah. I don't see why they wouldn't, I guess. But I don't know. It's a lot of stables. That's all you can say. But yeah, I don't remember how we got on this, so I'm just gonna move on to the next match, which was also in the King of DDT second round, and this was a great match. This was MAO losing to Konosuke Takeshita in 13:08 with the modified chicken wing face lock. MAO, he gave Takeshita a Rana into the railing pretty early on. That looked like a nasty impact for Takeshita right around the throat area. MAO followed it up with a diving knee drop back in the ring, but just got a 1 count. And then Takeshita came back with a really nice tope con hilo to the floor, wiping out not just MAO, but also their entire stable, since they're both in the Sound Nakamina, and they were all out there with them, and they all got destroyed. So I love the Sound Nakamina entrance song, by the way, with that like terrible cheesy guitar song of I think them singing that leads into like some generic Japanese rock song, but it actually sounds like Japanese surf rock, which is perfect for these rascals who love saunas. So they're like they came out of nowhere to become my second favorite unit in DDT after Damnation, because first of all they have their new T-shirt, which they were showing off in the earlier undercard match. It's like a perfect. You'll never like if you could wear this shirt in public and no one would ever know that you're wearing a wrestling shirt. Like it just doesn't look anything like wrestling. So
unlike the only DDT shirt that I own, which is the Endo one with a giant pair of boobies on it.
You really own that
shirt? Yes.
Because everybody, his finisher, one of his 500 finishers is Tetsuya in the Sky. So spell that out for you. This is not a This podcast does not have its head in the gutter, but you should be able to spell that one out yourself. And that's why Endo's shirt has giant boobs on it, which not a shirt I would wear in public, but you know.
I've never worn it. I have it. I figure I'll wear it to a DDT show, and that's the only time I'll ever wear it. And when I go to a DDT show, I'm gonna carry it in my bag and change into it at the venue, and then change out before I leave.
See, I thought you were taking this to a place of well, as a lesbian, I'm proud to wear giant boob shirt all over the public, but no, you were just I am just gonna change into the shirt in the bathroom.
It's more that I don't want anyone because the tits on the shirt go right over my actual boobs, and so I don't want people looking there.
That's...
Unless, of course, yes, I am a proud lesbian. Of course, they're a hot girl. Then
Yeah,
then it's fine.
There you go.
Yes.
But yes, so the Korakuen Hall wiped out the whole stable, which has a cool T-shirt, which I guess is how we got on this conversation. We got a huge no-sell sequence. Takeshita dropped MAO on his head with a German suplex and then killed him with a lariat. But MAO no-sold both of these things and took Takeshita out with a huge running palm strike. Very cool looking. He just put this fucking palm right through his face. Very, very cool looking palm strike. That led to a double knockout tease, but they both got back up, and then Takeshita killed him with another lariat, which MAO took an awesome flip bump for. That got a 2 count. Now, there was a flash pin reversal sequence that doesn't look as good as it could have, to be quite honest. I don't know if it was it seemed to me like MAO was a little winded or something, which might be why. It was just a touch slow. It's not like it looked awful or anything, but it just didn't look as cool as it could have. MAO took a page from his former partner Speedball, Mike Bailey's book, did the 450 knee attack for kneeling Takeshita. I forgot. Do you remember what he called that? I forgot.
No, I don't. Okay. I mean, I don't understand the commentary, so I don't know what they're calling it.
The DDT English update tweeted it out for sure, but I can't remember what it was.
Oh wait, was it the one with the really crude name?
Maybe.
Because there's one attack which had kind of a crude name that I remember the DDT English account tweeted out.
Okay. Well, I don't remember. Maybe that was it. What was it?
This is actually I don't have the thread up. I thought I did, but it was actually Tokyo Joshi.
It's fine. But yeah, so Takeshita hits a huge running knee attack to the back of MAO's head while he's sitting down. That was after MAO missed a regular 450. And then MAO handstanded to escape the knee attack to the front, which was very cool, and went for his cross-arm driver. Takeshita escaped, pulls him up into a crazy head drop for a close near fall before hitting another running knee to the face, but MAO kicked out again, and then Takeshita finally gets the chicken wing hold and delivers repeated elbows to the head, sort of Bryan Danielson style, to soften MAO up before finally getting it on, and the referee, I think, stops it. I don't know, or MAO submitted, I don't know. But yeah, Takeshita moves on. That's the important part. And this was really good. I went 3 3/4. Couldn't quite go 4 stars, mostly due to the slight issue with that flash pin sequence I mentioned, and 1 or 2 other times when the match looked a little more awkward than it should have. But I had a lot of fun with this one. Definitely one of the 2 best matches on the show.
Yeah, I mean, I would definitely say the same. One thing I really love is that I think that there's a really kind of unique, I guess, dynamic in this match, in that they're very, very different, but they're also good friends. So it's kind of they're having, I don't know how to put it. I don't know. It's just interesting because MAO is kind of the way he does things is it's very quirky, but in not just in the big things. He just does small, strange things with the handstand or sometimes how he gets out of moves and other people's moves and stuff. Whereas Takeshita is very straightforward, very powerful. But I guess because they're both friends, there's no real aggression there. They're kind of almost, I don't know how to put it, but it's not it's they're normally, when you see a match between 2 people who are very different, there's some sort of tension there between that. But instead with them, it like there wasn't. I guess like it just kind of felt. I don't know how to put this.
It's very friendly.
Yeah, friendly. That's one word I'm looking for. Friendly.
Yeah.
Somehow friendly, but also like, yeah, I mean, Mao like ranted him into the guardrail, and I did in fact go like ow out loud at that, because I was just like, this is the beginning of the match, you're already doing that.
Yeah, that was quite the spot. It looked pretty painful. But
Yeah.
So really good match. But the match of the night was the very first King of DDT second round match, which, in my opinion at least, which was Katsuya Higuchi defeating Tetsuya Endo with the Brain Claw Slam in 11:50. So Endo, he missed the prior week shows due to a minor leg injury, so it was good to see him able to return here and wrestle in the tournament. Higuchi, he was very aggressive early on. Like, he was dropping Endo hard on the railing on the outside from like a power slam position, and then he nearly took his head off with a big boot, which Endo took this awesome bump for, this huge bump on the outside. Endo, though, came back with after escaping a deadlift Dr. Bomb attempt from Higuchi back in the ring. A very cool looking escape, too. And then he hit a perfect space flying tiger drop to the outside, as he almost always does, followed by a springboard 450 back in the ring for a 2 count. Watching Endo fly around is just so much fun. And it's like, to me, he's every bit as good of a high flyer. This is my hot take for the episode. Every bit as good of a high flyer, if not maybe even better than Mr. Will Ospreay, but without any of the other baggage.
A billion times better than Will Ospreay.
But without any of the other baggage that Ospreay has in ring or out of the ring. Where like Endo to me Endo's almost as good of a high flyer, if not better of a high flyer than Ospreay, but he's also just better at everything else too. Like he doesn't sell half his moves like he's overacting in a school play, and he's very and obviously he doesn't have any of Ospreay's other issues. So
yeah,
Endo's better than Ospreay. That's my hot take, I guess, which apparently Hayley very much agrees with.
I like honestly, I would like go way further than you did, like
Wow.
in terms of how much better Endo is than Ospreay. Me and one of my Twitter buds, we're both very much like on the same page. Like even before people started like largely hating on Ospreay, I guess for being a horrible person, she was like, I guess, doing analysis of like their similar moves and like showing how Ospreay, his form is like kind of sloppy, whereas Endo's is of course 100% perfect. Like he's in general, like he gets all the like little details right of how things should look. So like his wrestling is like, one thing I really like about his wrestling is that he can be very like, I guess, impactful in like, like his moves look like they actually hurt. But he's also like, it's also just very like, the way he moves is just very like beautiful as well. Like, he's got like perfect form, in everything, and just he's just, I don't know, he's perfect. I love him.
I mean, Endo to me,
my standing moment,
Endo to me is always the guy who like most proves that nobody watches DDT, because like there's no excuse for why this guy is not talked up as one of the best wrestlers in the world, because like his execution, and there, look, if you're the kind of person who's like, oh, moves don't matter or whatever, I want to see something more than just execution of moves, fine. But a lot of people, and Endo is really good at lots of other stuff too, to be clear, but like a lot of people will tell you that all that matters in professional wrestling is how well you execute moves, and I really mean moves with a Z, and fucking Endo does moves better than anybody else in wrestling. I mean, show me a better space flying tiger drop than Endo does at this point. It doesn't exist. So, yeah, and he's pretty close to perfect at executing moves and stuff. Like he does the exact kind of stuff that like people talk up a lot of other wrestlers for, and like he outclasses almost all of them, and he gets plenty of hype when people watch DDT, but there's like a lot of people where I'm like, I know that you should love this man based on your other tastes in wrestling, and you weirdly don't love this man, so you clearly just never watched DDT. Like that's really all it comes down to, I guess, with Endo.
I have two ideas of why people would, who actually go nuts over guys like Will Ospreay don't care about Endo. I don't know if I should say them.
Is the other one is one of them because Endo may not be a Caucasian?
Well, yeah, one of them is Endo is like like a white British guy who has a quote unquote dynamic character, quote unquote. But the other one is because I guess people very much overlook DDT because I guess they just see it as like, oh, it's like the goofy stuff, and like don't realize that A, it's like actually really good at goofy stuff, but also B, it's not just goofy stuff. Like it's goofy stuff done by some of the most incredible wrestlers on the planet, and also just straightforward wrestling as well, done by
and Endo is also the best corpser in professional wrestling.
Yes, definitely, yeah.
Not really in the world, actually. Like when he just starts, he is like uniquely ill suited for anything involving DDT comedy because he just breaks out laughing every single fucking time. I'm like he's really the Jimmy Fallon of DDT, I guess.
Yeah, and it's like so funny. Normally he looks like so dour, and then like when something funny happens, it's like his entire demeanor changes.
Sometimes I want to be like, buddy, Antonio Honda. Every single guy on the Fox since the beginning of time, the joke has been a penis, and somehow it always surprises and delights Tetsuya Endo like it's the first time he's seeing it. It's like he just cannot get enough of a swinging hand replacing a penis. So, God bless him, I guess. But it makes him crack up every single time. So it's like, okay. I remember for a while, I was like, they're putting him in these matches just so he can crack up laughing. Back to the match, I guess. Higuchi, he keeps catching Endo in the air deadlift style. Very impressive looking. It was like happening over and over again. Like every time Endo would try anything, Higuchi would just deadlift him up. Endo escaped the first time, or maybe the first two times even, before he finally took a huge power slam from Higuchi after that. And then Higuchi runs Endo over with a huge lariat for a 2 count, just before the 10-minute call. And then Higuchi tries for the brain claw. Endo escapes, ends up getting him in his strange hold down on the mat. Higuchi, though, is able to use his power advantage to start standing out of it. And then he's sort of like, he starts standing up. He looks like he's going to stand all the way up. Endo gets him back down, but then Higuchi gets back up to a kneeling position, and from there he's able to apply the dreaded brain claw. He hits a brain claw. I don't know why I can't say brain claw. I'm sorry. Hits a brain claw slam on Endo, but he can't cover. Instead, he like backs up into the corner. He then hits a huge sumo charge. Really just runs Endo over. But then when he tries for the Dr. Bomb, Endo ranas him out of there. That was awesome. They trade flash pins back and forth. Neither guy can get the pin. But then Higuchi just kills him with another sumo charge, basically just hitting him with 2 palm strikes right in the face. Maybe that's the one I was thinking of where he killed him, actually. But yeah, he definitely killed him with a sumo charge, one of these two. Higuchi then picks Endo up in the brain claw and delivers the spitting claw slam this time. And that's finally the pin. I mean, this was only, I say finally, it was like 11 minutes. But this was an awesome sprint. They started going and just never stopped. Easy 4 stars flat for me. Definitely match of the night. And I figured Higuchi was winning here, just given how much Endo had his number in their series last year. I think he went like 3-1 against him. But Higuchi gets 1 win back here, and it moves on to these semifinals.
I mean, like for views, the ending I was of like 2 minds. One where like Endo is my favorite, so I'm like, no, I don't want to see him lose. I want to watch more singles matches with him. But at the same time, I'm like, Higuchi, he was so amazing in this match, and just like I think him winning was like the right thing to go with. But I'm also like, Endo stan. But I was just the part where he kept catching Endo. I had like my jaw was dropping. I thought that was just the coolest part of the match for me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, there was just so much cool shit in this match in general. And like, the only thing with Higuchi that I guess annoys me a little bit with him is like we were talking about Will Ospreay earlier. He has a penchant to, like Ospreay, make some very goofy faces in the ring, especially when he's having to sell, just like Ospreay, where Ospreay makes these incredibly unconvincing faces when he's selling. Where I don't think Higuchi's quite Ospreay bad at that, but he's still pretty bad at that. And he was doing a little bit early on in this match, but like if he could get that out of his game and be like better at selling and better at like the facial expressions, I think it would be a lot better. But he's still good. I mean, I still like him. It's not like I think he's bad or anything. But,
yeah, I'm gonna be honest.
The two of them, him and Endo. Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say, I'm gonna be honest. The facial expressions don't bother me as much for him because, unlike Ospreay, he's like handsome. When Ospreay makes like the goofy faces, his face is all red and sweaty, and I'm like, this is like the worst thing I've seen. Whereas like Higuchi, I guess I don't notice as much because I'm too busy going, oh, what a handsome guy.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's still
a problem though. He shouldn't do it, but it's not. It doesn't bother me as much.
Yeah, that's fair. But I mean, him and Endo, I was about to say, have tremendous chemistry. So
yeah,
definitely, I can watch those two wrestle each other all day long.
Definitely.
So that's your King of DDT matches. So at the end of the main event, they did the drawing with the little plastic balls, which I love the plastic ball drawings. When everybody comes out, it's like time to draw the balls to name the pairings. So the semifinal pairings we got here were pretty simple. We got, God, what did I put? Oh yeah, Takeshita got a blue ball after Sasaki did. Sasaki tried to hide his own blue ball. I guess he doesn't want to face Takeshita, but they are facing each other. That's one semifinal, and that of course means the big boy battle is the other one, Yuji Hino and Katsura Higuchi. So that will happen July 4th. The King of DDT semifinals and finals. So the two winners will then face each other in the final. So a little under 2 weeks away. So finally, something worth being excited for on July 4th.
Yeah.
There you go. Our independence from, I don't know. There's no independence button you can make. Independence of nothing. I don't know. Are you like you're not a July 4th person, are you? Like as far as going
Absolutely
out
and not. No.
Barbecuing and all that?
No.
I kind of assumed, but
I don't celebrate America, and also the fireworks bother my dog, which is just I don't like it when she's running around the house barking.
Your dog would fucking hate my apartment because basically the part of the Bronx I live in Throg's Neck, they fucking love fireworks here more than anything. Like last summer when everybody was complaining about how many people were setting off fireworks in New York City, I was like, I don't know what you guys are talking about. There's normal summer for me. They set off fireworks every goddamn weekend here, for like 3 years straight, or longer than that. Like every year since I've gotten here, honestly, like 6-7 years ago.
Oh yeah, I have neighbors like that who are constantly setting off fireworks, and I'm like, I don't know where they get them because I'm pretty sure it's like illegal for them to have them in New Jersey.
In New York, somebody sells them. It's fine, I guess.
Yeah, which is I know. I mean, like obviously, I'm not unaware of. It's not like I've never legally gotten anything in New Jersey, but not things that would bother other people and like be very obvious.
Yeah.
And
well, the cops here don't give a shit about fireworks, which is fine, I guess, but I don't really want them harassing minority people over their fireworks. But they have lots of fireworks here. So 4th of July it's a fucking 5-day event here. And it goes on. It's like every night before, like 3 nights before and a night after. So, there's so much fucking fireworks here. So if anyone really, really wants to see fireworks 4th of July weekend, I can't say I really care that much, but they're plentiful here. So come to Throg's Neck and you will see nonstop fireworks for like 5 straight days. They don't. I don't have any pets. It doesn't really bother me. But it's just like, there it is again. Boom, boom, boom. It's one of these things where it's like, how can you still think it's like special or spectacular when you have them every day? It's like, yeah, the sky's a light again. Like, what am I supposed to say? You know, if you see anything enough times, it becomes pretty boring. So, fireworks. But yes, the real fireworks will be the King of DDT semifinal. There we go.
Oh,
finally did a pun that worked. The real fireworks, King of DDT semifinals on July 4th, which we will cover on this very show. I think that's a free episode. Yeah, we'll cover that back here in 2 weeks on a free omakase. So there you go. Before we get into the undercard matches for the King of DDT show very quickly, and then Tokyo Joshi, I just need to let you know that support for Wrestling Omakase is brought to you by Manscaped. They're the best in men's below-the-waist grooming. Manscaped is precision-engineered tools for your family jewels. They obsess over the technology developments to provide you with the best tools for your grooming experience. Manscaped is trusted by over 2 million men worldwide. We have an exclusive offer for my listeners, 20% off and free shipping with the code OMAKASE at manscaped.com. So again, 20% off and free shipping with the code OMAKASE at manscaped.com. So you can get that 20% off and that free shipping with the code OMAKASE at manscaped.com. Unlock your confidence and always use the right tools for the job with Manscaped. Okay. So we had an Iron Man heavy metal weight title thing, but I feel like I have to talk about that with the Battle Royal, so I'll skip that for now. I'll go to the 3-way tag team match, which was Akito and Naomi Yoshimura defeating Yuki Ueno and Shuma Katsumata, and Soma Takao and Nobuhiro Shimatani when Akito submitted Shimatani with the figure 4 leg lock in 8:21. I thought this was like, really high speed, really high action 3-way tag, something always going on. Pretty fun stuff. I thought this was better than normal maybe for these undercard 3-way tags. And, Shimatani seemed like he had Akito in trouble, but Akito, suddenly kind of got the figure 4 on out of nowhere to get the win. I went 3.5 on this. I thought this was pretty fun.
Yeah, no, same. I definitely thought it was real. I really enjoy. I feel like DDT and also Tokyo Joshi do particularly well at these 3-way matches, because it always feels like something's going on. It always feels very like, there's sometimes like with 3-way matches, like I guess some companies, basically every other company that I've seen always has some moment where like all 3 guys are like laid out and like, ugh, you need to take a break. And I'm like, no, you don't. This is a 3-way match. There can always be something going on. And,
yeah,
DDT actually really does that. There's always a lot of action going on, always very fast paced.
Yeah.
And I mean, all the guys in this match are guys I really like. So.
And they don't always lean into the cliche too, which WWE does this a lot too, and I think AEW does too, honestly, where like one guy gets thrown out of the ring and the other 2 guys fight, and then another guy gets thrown out of the ring and the other 2 guys fight. It's like they don't always, they do more actual like 3-way wrestling, which is cool. Like if you're gonna do the format, use the fucking format. Don't just be like, okay, you toss out, then I toss out, then you toss out. It's like, okay.
Oh god, yeah, no, I hate that. It just feels like they're doing like 3 different matches at once instead of doing one match with 3 people.
Exactly.
Or like, I guess in this case, 6 people.
Indeed.
3 teams.
I forgot to mention the announcements between matches 3 and 4. So DDT is doing their first like big-ish shows outside of Tokyo in a while. They're doing in September the Dramatic Survivor 2021 on September 4th. That's at the Nagoya Congress Center Event Hall. And that features a unit versus unit 1-day tournament, which could be cool. Have to wait and see what that tournament looks like. And then September 12th, 8 days later, they're going all the way out to Fukuoka, which they really don't go out there that often, for Tenjin Wars 2021 at the Nishi Tetsu Hall. So that should be fun as well. And the other big announcement was Yoshiaki Yatsu coming out. He'll be challenging for the KOD 8-man tag titles on the July 4th Korakuen. That's, of course, the same show with the King of DDT semifinals and finals. His partners, so Yatsu, if people don't know him, he's been around a while. He, was a former Olympian, and, he made a big comeback, pretty recently, after having his right leg, couldn't remember his right or left, I had to look it up. His right leg was amputated, and he returned to the ring as part of the 15-person Gauntlet Battle Royal match at the Cyber Fight Festival. So, obviously that's, very impressive. And he's teaming up here with Hiroshi Yamato and Akito, who both, like Yatsu, have amateur backgrounds. Now, the idea here is an Olympic theme. Yatsu was an actual Olympian. Yamato placed third in the Junior Olympic Cup, which is like a big tournament Japan has in amateur wrestling, and Akito placed second. So they're like, okay, well, we need a fourth partner. And then Keigo Nakamura, who they had announced at the start of the show, was going to return on the July 4th Korakuen, tried to volunteer for the fourth member of the team. Now, he points out he also had an amateur wrestling background, and he also competed in the Junior Olympic Cup. Imabayashi is like, did you place? And Nakamura very sheepishly is like, actually, I lost in the first round, which was like, so too bad for him. Imabayashi seemed very unimpressed by this, but Yatsu at least was like, well, you compete at least. So there you go. Nakamura is the fourth member of the team. So the Olympic theme, obviously with the Olympics coming up, which, remains very controversial in Japan, let's just say.
Yeah.
Not exactly a fun time. I mean, the Olympics always have a certain amount of I don't know what the word is, a cloud around them, I guess, but it's a bigger cloud than usual because of the fact the pandemic is still going, especially in Japan, and lots of Japanese people do not want them there this year, but they're coming anyway because they don't care what you think, apparently. So
yeah, and I don't know if you know about this. Was a big controversy over the opening ceremony.
Oh yeah.
Where the person who was originally directing it and was working on it for years is this really, I guess, famous choreographer. She does the choreography for both Perfume and Baby Metal, and her team were like working on it. And then kind of only a few months ago, the Tokyo Olympics Committee kicked her and her people out and replaced them with an ad agency to which is pretty ridiculous. One of the main reasons I was looking forward to the Tokyo Olympics originally was because I'm a big fan of hers, and I wanted to see what she was going to do. And now I'm like, with the pandemic going on and this big controversy, I'm like, honestly, what's the point of doing this? Japanese people don't want it.
Yeah.
They've already behind the scenes stuff for the opening ceremony is all, shrouded in a lot of negativity, so we can't even enjoy that.
Yeah. Well, that sucks. I did not even know about that story. I love Perfume. Baby Metal, Baby Metal, I wouldn't say I love. I've heard a little bit of them, but Perfume is awesome.
Yeah, Perfume's my favorite music group, period. Yeah. I've seen them 4 times live. So
oh wow, I've never seen them live.
Really obsessed with them.
But yeah, so there's, what was it saying? Oh yeah, so that's July 4th. That's the KOD 8-man tag title match. Match 2. Okay, ready for this title? Oh, I should note too with the translations at DDT Pro _ENG as always. The DDT English update, they do an amazing job, or he does an amazing job. It's one person.
Yeah.
Match. I use they anyway. I'm pretty sure it's he. It's just like the person who just they them was just like they have to be singular. Kind of funny. Yeah. Match number 2, which was the Steak Kui Yagure presents Yusuke Okada DDT Pro Wrestling Affiliation Commemoration Playfulness Series Act 3. Okay. Danshoku Dino defeated Yusuke Okada with the Gedo clutch in 641 with the special witness. Oh boy, was he ever a special witness. Kiyoshi Hayashishita. Now, of course, if that name stands out to you, Kiyoshi is indeed Utami's father.
Whoa,
Utami is
really?
the star from... Oh, you didn't know that?
No.
Okay.
Amazing.
So Kiyoshi...
I was thinking it was funny that he had a name of like a wrestler. I didn't know that he was actually her dad. Wow.
Okay, so Kiyoshi, he is the titular Big Daddy from the Big Daddy reality TV show, which Utami also was on, I guess. I don't know. It's a big thing in Japan, this show. People love this show.
I don't know about the show either. I don't know all this stuff about him. I just thought, oh, he's a guy who owns a restaurant.
No. The restaurant owner came out at the end, I think. That was the restaurant owner. He like raised her hand or something. So
okay. Yeah. So what's his he's the chef at the restaurant?
I don't know. I don't think Kiyoshi connected to the restaurant. I think he's just Big Daddy.
Okay.
Yeah, I could be wrong. Maybe he is the fucking chef or the owner or something.
I don't know because I was like I thought that must be the connection with the restaurant. So what does the restaurant have to do with it?
Well, the restaurant was the sponsor of the match, and the guy came out at the end. I think.
Okay.
I think that guy who was out there at the very end was the restaurant guy. But yeah, I do not know whether or not Kiyoshi has a connection to this restaurant or not. But all I know is he is indeed Big Daddy. Adam Sandler, eat your heart out. Via the DDT English update. So, or I should say, via the DDT English update. Dino and Hayashishita, they fought in a match before, apparently. Who the fuck knew this? I had no idea. And they still have beef. So Dino apparently... Oh, okay, so this is his restaurant. He assaulted his restaurant before the match, and its ownership may or may not be on the line. So I apologize on the air to Hayley. She was right and I was wrong.
Okay, yeah, because I was pretty sure, yeah. Because I always have the thread, the DDT, like English Pro... DDT Pro ENG thread up while I watch the match. So
besides being a reality TV star and the father of a Stardom champion, he is also a proud restaurateur, I guess. So there you go.
I mean, being Tommy's dad is enough of a reason to be famous. I feel like.
Yeah. Dino. So anyway, the ownership may or may not be. Dino might own this restaurant now.
Wait, hold on! I just realized something. If Dino wrestled Utami's dad, does that make Utami a second generation wrestler?
I guess it does. I guess we just cracked the code. Utami, that's why she's good. She's a second generation wrestler. So Dino, at one point in this match, busted out a very high-speed version of the Danshoku Nightmare. He did the little squatting pose a single time before he just kind of dropped his ass right on poor Okada's face.
The big rite of passage for entering DDT is to have Danshoku Dino sit on your face.
Indeed. But this was like a high-speed version. It was like even worse than I think the usual version. The ref gets bumped at one point. Big Daddy runs in. He spears Dino, but Dino recovers and tries to give him a Danshoku driver. Had his head under there and everything. But Okada saved him. He tried for a running kiss attack on Dino, but Dino dodged it, and Okada had a long, passionate kiss with Utami Hayashishita's father. So Dino then rolled him up with the Gedo clutch for the pin. Typical Dino match, I guess, but with a reality television star involved. That was fine for what it was. If you can't stand Dino matches, this one definitely won't change your mind.
Yeah. The part where he dodged the kiss and Utami's dad and Okada kiss, there's a similar moment in a match where Dino was fighting the Golden Lovers in the very early time when they started tagging, where they had a very... He tricked Kota and Kenny into having a very passionate kiss. And of course that led into the whole, the Golden Lovers, of course, then from there became this big, romantic drama story from there, I guess. So now I guess Yusuke Okada and Utami's dad are going to become, star-crossed lovers. Yes. Can't wait for that grand romance.
Kenny, they can tweet cryptic shit at each other back and forth.
Yes.
Can go to do now.
Can anyone though? No one will be as great of a cryptic tweeter as Ibushi is, because apparently, Ibushi, the way he speaks Japanese in general, like the way he writes in general, for like everything, is apparently very strange and hard to translate.
Yeah, because he's
nobody understands what the hell he's talking about anything, and then when he starts talking about Kenny, it's like that, but times like a billion, because he's actually trying to be confusing at that point.
that is horrifying. Kota Ibushi trying to be confusing. It's like very.
Already it's like, who knows what he's saying, and then like when he's purposely trying to be vague, it's like really like, what the fuck are you talking about?
It's like a black hole being like, I'm going to try to do today, suck some stars in. I'm going to suck some stuff in.
Yeah. Anyways, this is part of why Kota Ibushi is, of course, the person I love most in this world.
Yeah.
He just doesn't make any sense, and I'm like, you know what? Same. I aspire to this level of confusing.
The post-match translation, again, via DDT Pro _ENG. So Okada says, quote, "Daddy, sorry I sucked. I'll try my best to reach the top as a wrestler in here in DDT. Utami's dad comes back with, Okada, sometimes you win, sometimes you lose. It was too bad today, but there was one thing. You're not a bad kisser." So there you go. That's what Utami's dad had to say. The opening contest was the Iron Man Heavy Metalweight Battle Royal. So the big thing here was, I don't want to...
Wait, before we have to... I have to mention, of course, then as Okada left the ring, Tommy's dad started chasing him, I guess. He wanted another kiss.
He wanted more kisses.
So, this is the big start of their love story, I guess.
It started. So the Iron Man Heavy Metalweight title Battle Royal. The big thing here was... Mad Paulie had some drinks backstage, and he left these drinks backstage, and people kept walking by them one by one. Yukio Sakaguchi picked one up without drinking it; he just took it with him, and then finally Antonio Honda picks one up and drinks it, and he becomes Mad Anton. So he is now a Paulie, and then he and he and Paulie were, they teaming up with Gon the Foxes and everyone but Hirata. And Hirata helped them out. He threw out everybody they gonned in the face to eliminate them. And they end up both eliminated, leaving Hirata the apparent winner. But then out comes Mad Sakaguchi. And he gets in the ring. And he just gets awarded the win of the match, because I guess actually Hirata got eliminated too.
Yeah, they all fell out at the same time.
Yeah, but Hirata still is the champion, because he had pinned Yuya Aoki earlier on. Hirata accidentally pinned Aoki while passed out in a triangle with assistance from Brooks and Oishi to win the belt. So since he got eliminated over the top rope, he did not lose the title. Saki Akai at one point did this crazy lucha arm drag to Chris Brooks. It was so good.
I know.
It was like, she is so good at wrestling.
I love her.
But yes, we're going to get to how good she is in a second. But yes, so Hirata survives as champion. The Paulies chased him around, and later on in the night, they would chase him back in the ring during Imabayashi's announcements. They all ended up colliding, though, when they tried to triple team him with wind-up punches. But then, and then Hirata actually get a really funny, like, very subtle joke where he starts to thank the fans, and he says, "I was able to become Iron Man champ today thanks to your cheers," which is, of course, pretty funny because they can't fucking cheer.
I know.
They can only clap. So that was actually pretty funny. But then he was choked out from behind by Mad Shinya, the final Mad Paulie, who won his Iron Man title back. So he still is Iron Man champion ending the show here. But so it was Inuyasha then did the rest of his announcements with Hirota dead in the middle of the ring, which is not the first time he's done that. So yeah, overall, I thought this was a perfectly fine DDT Korakuen, not one that's gonna go down the annals of DDT Korakuens or anything for me, but like there was some funny stuff on the undercard, some really good matches with the three-way tag and the first two King of DDT second round matches, but a disappointing main event. So that's pretty much it. Let's go. Oh, go ahead.
I just wanted to say I hope the thing with the Paulies continues for a little bit. I hope it doesn't just like when they pee it all comes out, all the drink, and they're no longer Paulie. I really, because it was so funny.
Peeing out the Paulie.
Yeah, I think the funniest thing for me is when they had, I guess, Sakaguchi as Paulie, when they interviewed him and they put the mic to him and he just very suddenly went Po, and it was like something about Sakaguchi like just going along with these really goofy things is always funny for me. This one I think was particularly great.
Po.
Po.
So that's a DDT show. Let us get to the Tokyo Joshi show pretty quickly. So the main event here, the Princess Tag Team titles, Saki-sama and May St. Michael. Is it St. Michael or St. I don't know. I think it's St.
Michelle, I think.
Oh, St. Michelle? Okay.
I have no
Saki-sama, yeah. I could have sworn I thought it was Michelle, but then I feel like they always say Michael. But either way, Saki-sama, May St. Michelle
Did you watch with Japanese or English commentary?
I watched Japanese.
Okay, I watched the English commentary, and they were saying Saint Michel. So I guess
maybe it's
I don't know.
To be. Maybe they think they know what the French is supposed to sound like, and the Japanese announcers do not. But either way, the point is that's her name. That's of course. God, what now? Now I'm blanking on her actual name from
Mei Suruga.
Mei Suruga, thank you.
Or else she resembles Mei Suruga. Maybe
she's
not. She's not obviously not really Mei Suruga.
Yeah, but obviously from the Choco Pro, which is I saw her win that belt from Riho, whatever it's called, like the Super Asia singles title or something. When Riho is I guess getting ready to go to America, I saw her win that belt from her at Shinjuku Face in an awesome match. So she's someone I always knew was really good. But,
yeah, she's. I was really happy when she first showed up in DDT, I guess like as herself, and then when she Saki-sama, I was like really excited because I want more people to know about her. She's just so good, and
I should say the promotion's got to move. Yeah, Choco Pro's like their show. Yeah. But yeah, so Saki-sama and May, whatever her last name is, defeated Miyu Yamashita and Maki Ito by TKO when Saki-sama used the Versailles foot choke on Yamashita in 1909, the second defense for Neo Bishiki-gun. God, this match was so awesome. This match was easily the best match on either show. So this starts out with May coming out with her tag belt on a serving plate, which was just adorable. Just the most adorable thing. And at one point, Saki nearly escapes the Maki Ito cutest in the world deal, only for her to get pulled back by her hair. And Maki Ito is like pulling her back and basically extending the kawaii while she's like, kawaii, like, get back here. It was just really fucking funny. And then May distracts Saki, though, she distracts Maki just by formally bowing on the apron. I thought was funny. It's like, why are you so distracted by this girl formally bowing? Doesn't really make a lot of sense.
I guess maybe some sort of Japanese, thing, courtesy thing, maybe?
I guess so. Know. But of all people, the girl who loves to flip people off is the one who has to show the courtesy. But yes, that lets May and Saki cut Maki Ito off finally. Maki, though, no-sells a dropkick from May after she tags in and just bounces off the ropes right into her signature headbutt. That was a pretty neat little spot. And that lets Maki tag out to Miyu, who just kicks the crap out of Mei before Saki cuts her off, though, with her own kick from the apron, her own big kick. Mei drops the serving plate from the apron onto Miyu during the ringside brawl portion. That was, again, so cute. Just like, like just dropped it from there.
Okay. One thing I have to say, during in English commentary, Chris Brooks, who's one of the people doing it, what does he call her when she dropped the tray? He called her a wretched demon, and he was calling her like he was really, disgusted by her behavior the entire time, and she's just there being like the cutest thing, and it's like so funny how much he despises everything she does, while she's of course like smiling, and everything is just adorable with her. So that was funny.
I guess it's because he's supposed to be in the bag for Maki Ito, right? Since they're the Neo Ito Respect Army. But we got a lot of hair pulling from both Mei and Maki, and then came a truly inventive spot. So Mei Irish whips Maki into the ropes, but then sets up the serving plate of death behind her. So when she drops down, Maki leaps over her and lands on the plate and slips and falls. That was so fucking great. It was like perfectly timed, perfectly executed, and you're never expecting that. It's like she used the plate like a fucking banana peel in Mario Kart, and it totally worked. Like it didn't come off as a total comedy spot that was completely goofy. It came off like, she tripped and fell.
Yeah, and it doesn't come off like sometimes like spots like that can come off as like too like set up and contrived, but like no, this was like completely natural. It's just like, she did so
There's
a tray
fast.
right there. Like I didn't even like notice the tray until she slipped on it.
Yeah, so it was perfect. Mei tries to hit Maki in the head with the serving plate. It made a really loud sound, but Maki and her hard head still no-sold it. She grabbed the plate, hit herself in the head with it repeatedly while screaming, and then headbutted Mei. She picks up the plate and finally uses it for a plate-assisted Kokeshi before tagging out to Miyu. Mei actually manages to fight Miyu off on her own so she can make the tag to Saki-sama finally. And then Saki is really excited to grab Miyu by the wrist and kick her in the face repeatedly and completely no-sell the body punches that Miyu tries to fight back with. And I've always tried to, for people, I've tried to make this point before, but for people who've only watched DDT and never watched Tokyo Joshi, so they've only seen Saki Kai, and they've never seen Saki-sama.
Well, I mean, they're two different people, of course.
Of course. But, what Saki-sama does so well is she puts this aura around her to the point where, you completely buy that this French woman, or whatever, a French woman, quote unquote, is completely indestructible. She just pulls off video game style or anime style, completely invulnerable mega boss, mega villain, in a way that few people can pull it off. She reminds me, honestly, of a wrestler from all the way back in the day in Joshi that I've always tried to promote, which is the Bloody, because she had that same thing going where they're both not monster heels in the classical physically imposing sense. They just had this aura. They presented this aura. They completely no-sold everything. Where basic blows to them, they completely shrugged off. You'd be like, you have to really drop this person on their head or really kick the shit out of them to do any damage, and it totally makes sense while you're watching the match. And again, it's one thing for Aja Kong to pull that off, but for Saki-sama has the added bonus of being taller than everybody, but she's 5'9". She's a giant compared to some of the Tokyo Joshi people. It's not like she's 7 feet tall or anything, but they both have that aura where they can no-sell anything and it can make sense in the match. And they go in there and you can structure a match around how, they're Miyu Yamashita, who usually kicks everybody's ass, and she's the ace of the company, obviously, can hit these body punches, and Saki-sama can just stand there are you hitting me? I don't feel anything. And it makes complete sense in the context of the match. And that's, I think, harder to pull off than people might give it credit for, because it can very easily look completely corny or stupid that you're just pretending that a punch to the gut doesn't hurt at all. Like, not anybody can pull that off. And she pulls that off with her aura and just, the way she carries herself in the ring. And it's completely different, again, because they're two different people. But it's completely different from the way Saki Akai carries herself in the ring, which is like, she's happy to be there. She's, she does a nice cross body and she tries her best. Saki-sama is just like, I am unbeatable. And it's the fact that she's able to pull off both of these characters in two different promotions and make them work. And I honestly think she's even better as Saki-sama than she is as Saki Akai, not to take anything away from Saki Akai. But the fact that she's able to pull it off to the degree that she is, these two very different characters, honestly says that people got to give her more credit that they're probably willing to give her. So, Saki-sama is incredible.
I completely agree with everything you just said, and I think that was such a great explanation of why she's like why the character works so well. Like, I never even really thought about it like that before, but I'm like, you know what? It's like, I think the fact that like I never really thought about it before and I just like bought into it and never really like questioned it, I think is part of why she's so good. Why that works so well.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, it's incredible, honestly. And she really is like an incredible wrestler in a lot of different ways. I know some people roll their eyes at that, but she is like, what she's trying to do with Saki-sama especially, I mean, she really can't do it any better. And this match was awesome in large part. I mean, in large part because of her. And, May was awesome too, and Miyu and Maki were great. But like, that aura that Saki-sama has, in a lot of ways, it helped carry the company. Especially when there were less good wrestlers than there are now. And, she's always been like a constant in the company. She leaves and comes back and leaves and comes back. But like, she's always been one of the most interesting things in the company. And she's just a great monster heel, a great top villain in a company that doesn't have a lot of villains. So,
yeah. Like, she definitely has that like flamboyant, like anime villain kind of feel to her.
Yeah.
I mean, like, her entire like image is kind of based off of like 70s shoujo manga, like Rose of Versailles. But like, she takes that even like further to even like more modern kind of like idea of like this like crazy indestructible villain, like who, from like an anime or something, who's just like I think, like, like you always see that in anime where like there's this like one villain who's just so over the top, and like you think like, oh, this girl is like a joke because like they look silly, but of course they're like actually just like like Hisoka or something, but like not creepy like Hisoka.
But yes, so the Miyu and Saki showdown here really does feel like the two biggest stars in this company squaring off, because it is. And they end up standing and exchanging middle kicks. Some of them were quite hard. And then Miyu finally comes back with a high kick out of nowhere, followed by the Sankaku Geri to the face. Maki, I don't know why I put down Miku. Hatsune Miku is not involved in the match. Maki charges in to take out May, while Miyu hits the attitude adjustment, but May still manages to dive in and make the save. Miyu misses another skull kick and just gets hit in the face by Saki, and she starts throwing these slaps from both sides. Miyu cuts her off with the knee in the gut, only to run right into a big boot from Saki. And then Saki gets her triangle, keeps it on even as Miyu tries to lift her out of it. Maki finally comes flying off the top with her flying big headbutt to break it up. Miyu goes for Crash Rabbit Heat. Saki dodges, but then immediately gets hit with a kick to the face anyway. Miyu goes for the Crash Rabbit Heat again, but May runs in and cuts her off, and then hits the Saki-assisted Shuranai. Saki hits a high kick and gets the triangle back on, and Miyu passes out. So Saki-sama has beaten the Princess of Princess champion. And that, this was just, we'll get to what that means in a second, but this was awesome. A good start and an excellent stretch run. Easy 4.25 stars. Match of the night for sure. This is a match to go out of your way to see, along with the Endo Higuchi from the King of DDT. This was just so fucking good. Just like I said, outstanding match.
I definitely agree. It's definitely my favorite match of the show as well. I just think the entire like team of like Maki and Miu is really interesting in general because first off, because I guess like they're kind of rivals, but they're also, I guess, teaming with each other now. It's kind of an interesting development over time. But also because they're both like, they're like both like idiots, and of course Saki-sama, it makes Saki-sama is very, very much someone who's not an idiot at all. Yeah. Also, it's just like a small moment that I found like really funny, is there's a part where she's pulling one of like Maki's pigtails, and that was like the most like like dramatic, graceful pose while she's doing it, and it's just like, to me, that moment is just like so very like almost like JoJo's-ish, because it's like the crazy posing while fighting type idea, but in a totally not that kind of pose, but the same idea. I just think it's like the entire match manages to be like have like moments that are like kind of like like funny in like a clever way, but also like just straight up like great wrestling. Like I think not enough people talk about how great Miu is. I feel like because
she's
not enough people
low key wrestler of the year candidate to me.
Yeah, like she's honestly, in my opinion, like possibly the best wrestler in the world. Like I think she's just, every time she's in the ring, it's just, she's incredible. Like I just sit up and like absorb myself in what she's doing.
I mean, she has that ace energy, that real ace of a promotion energy in a way that like very few people have in wrestling at this point.
Yeah. Like she doesn't feel like she was just like placed there. It really feels like she's meant to be there.
Yeah.
And then of course every time she kicks someone, it's like I feel it. She kicks people so hard, and like she's just so good at it, and it's just so she's great. And I think people should talk about her more, and I think people should in general just talk about Tokyo Joshi more, but like particularly I want more people to see her wrestle. She's just so great.
Yeah. So the big news out of post match is, of course, so Saki-sama, for people who don't know, she has always said that she does not really want the princess title, because I don't know, that her basic thing is like, I don't need that belt. I'm Saki-sama. That's enough for me. And
gets in the way of her just going to France whenever she wants. Of course.
And it's pretty much, it's not really a big, there's not really a big explanation. I guess it just she just kind of doesn't want it. And I guess the idea is because they didn't want her to have it, and they also didn't want her to lose, and she almost never loses. I mean, Miu has never beaten her, and we just said how she's the ace. She's never beaten Saki-sama in a singles match, and she's never even scored a direct fall over her in a tag match. So that should tell you how few direct falls Saki-sama takes. But she decided that she is going to take the belt just to make Miyu Yamashita more upset. So that is just a very funny explanation for why she's going to challenge. So the match is happening. I couldn't believe this when people, because I was like, wow, this match is awesome, and I can't wait to see this title match wherever it happens. And people were like, John, it's happening June 26th at Ryogoku KFC Hall. I'm like, what the fuck? I mean, first of all, they're only coming back with that 2 weeks later. Second of all, in a tiny building like that, it's very bizarre. So it makes me think something's going to happen, either some kind of non-finish or some kind of I don't know if the match won't take place or what, but like, it just seems like way too small of a venue and way too little hype for probably the biggest singles match Tokyo Joshi can run. So I'll have to wait and see. But that's this Saturday on the 26th of June. So definitely excited for it. But like I said, cautiously excited because I think something's going to happen. Yes. But I guess we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah.
The semi-main event was for the International Princess title. Hikari Noa defeated Marika Kobashi with the Blizzard Suplex in 11-13, her first defense of the title. Marika hit a pretty sloppy leg drop off the second turnbuckle at one point, but when she went to follow up, Hikari Noa came back with a nice exploder suplex out of nowhere. That did leave both girls down. And then Hikari came back later, or she survived a Shining Wizard from Kobashi, and then it came back with her Blizzard suplex hold out of nowhere for the pin. First of all, I love that Hikari keeps the Blizzard suplex alive, since obviously Takashi Iizuka is not doing it. Well, he wasn't doing it for years before he retired anyway, when he went all wild man, but that was his big move in the 90s. I thought this was pretty good, but not much more than that. The match, like, to me, sort of lacked flow. And I also didn't really buy for a second that Marika was winning. Even though I was watching on Spoil, I just didn't feel like she had much of a chance, even though I really like her. And I think her whole gal wrestler thing is really cool. But, I just didn't think she had a shot here. So I went 3 1/4. It was pretty good. Nothing I think you got to go crazy to watch.
I mean, I guess kind of similar. Like, I enjoyed it, but it's definitely not like a must watch. But I think the thing that I like the most is like just there's this kind of, I guess, like culture clash between their whole, like, they both have like kind of these like represent these certain subcultures.
Mm-hmm.
Like Hikari with like the like goth punk thing, and Marika with the whole like gal thing.
Yeah. She said we're gonna make it the international gal title.
Yeah, she has like her look to me. I'm like, this is straight out of like a 2000s like a Yumi Hamasaki music video, basically. Like, I like, for me, who like grew up like that was like the thing I was like super into, was like 2000s J-pop. And I still love it so much. Like, to me, like, her look was just like, I went crazy. In general, I just I think she has like a really great look, but also like she's also a really great wrestler to back it up. She's really good. She I think she has like a lot of, what do you call it? I don't know what you call it, but I guess she always seems like someone who is putting in like 1,000% of herself, like her, I guess, physical effort into it. Or like I guess she always seems not like that. Like, I don't know how to put it, but she seems like she's fighting really hard all the time, like no matter what in the match. Like, she's I don't know, she's easy to root for, I guess is the way to put it. Yeah. She always seems like she's big babyface energy.
Should we explain what gal is really quick?
Oh yeah, sure.
So it's like basically a fashion subculture in Japan that like really peaked in like the early 2000s and kind of declined after that. It's like very, I don't know, would you say like Americanized style, right? It's like a hyper American, like these, very tan, like lots of blonde hair and like eyeliner and stuff. I mean, honestly, if you just look at Marika, I mean, that pretty much, she does the style. I mean, that pretty much is the style,
Yeah.
But it's made a big comeback lately. So, yeah. So like that, it peaked originally, like I said, in the early 2000s, I would say. But like, yeah, it seems like it's having a big moment again. And, in the late 2010s, early 2020s. And, I assume that's why we now have a gal wrestler.
Yeah, no, definitely like, I mean, it really started more in like the 90s. Like, in the 90s, it started, I guess, there's this like magazine in Japan, well, there was, called Fruits, that like the person who did it literally just, there used to be in Harajuku on Sunday, it's called Pedestrian's Paradise, where you weren't allowed to use cars. It was all pedestrians. So a lot of like alternative fashion, like, fans of that, like, it's like teenagers and stuff, would like hang out there and they'd shop and they just, I guess it's like kind of the gal subculture. A lot of them, like, they're really into like Eurobeat music, which is why Marika's like entrance music is Eurobeat. And they do this dance style called para para, which is like these like coordinated hand movements.
Yeah,
And like it just
there was a Bimani game, Power Paradise, which I played a few times.
yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
based on the dance, but yeah.
So like it kind of started in the 90s in a very, very extreme way as kind of like a fuck you to Japanese beauty standards, which it's like you're supposed to have like straight dark hair and be like very pale. So instead they're like, we want to look like the girls in, I think Baywatch was the biggest inspiration for that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like very like caught up in Shibuya. So like Shibuya is like their home base. I remember from the High Score Girl famously has like a scene. I don't know if that's a show you've seen. But
I've heard of it. It's like on my to watch list.
And that show set in the 90s, and like he goes to Shibuya during like, I don't know, between 95 and 96, and they run into some violent gals who were playing like metal games in an arcade, and they beat them up. So that's a kind of famous scene. But yeah, so Shibuya was like their turf.
Yeah, Shibuya definitely kind of like Shibuya 109 kind of like became the big turf. And then like also like there was
mall, by the way.
And also I think it really kind of entered mainstream culture because there's this pop star, Ayumi Hamasaki, who's like one of the biggest pop stars of all time in Japan, and she had that style. But it was like originally when the style started, like they were so tan that they looked like crispy, and they used like white eyeliner. So she had the kind of more toned down version of it that's more like, that became kind of more like popular, and that Marika has. Kind of where they're like tan and they have like the bleached hair and everything, but they're not like, they don't look sunburnt. Not sunburnt. They literally look like a cookie that you've put in the oven for
I was going to say,
long.
some of them look distressingly close to blackface.
Yes.
But thankfully, Marika is not doing that.
Yeah.
That brand of gal style.
It's really funny because they're not doing blackface. They're trying to look like specific white people. Yet they've managed to take it a little too far.
Indeed. But yes, there you go. It's everything you want to know about Galu.
Yes.
But if you're wondering what the hell's up with Marika Kobashi's look now. But I fully support this look. I mean, like I said, gal is popular again in Japan, so it makes total sense to have a gal wrestler.
Yeah. I'm just like super into Japanese fashion in general, so like seeing someone do like something very like involved in like Japanese fashion subcultures in general is something that's exciting for me, because it's like, oh, that's one of my interests, and I'm seeing when a wrestler do that, you know.
Yeah. Match number 5 was Yuka Sakazaki and Mizuki, the Magical Sugar Rabbits, defeating Rika Tatsumi and Hyper Misao. Sakazaki pinned Misao with the Magical Girl Niwatari Yaro in 11:49. So this is kind of your like goofy comedy match, I guess, your wacky comedy match. The Sugar Rabbits especially were in extra wacky mode. I mean, they're both wrestlers who can be very, they can do like very great serious matches, obviously when they want to, but when they want to be wacky, boy, will they be wacky. Mizuki was like riding around on Yuka's back for like double team splashes, and they were yelling and shouting. It was like, okay, they're on one today, as the kids say. Rika Tatsumi, she got a hot tag. She worked over one of them for a while, but the Sugar Rabbits cut her off as well before too long. We got a very nice crossbody off the top from Mizuki. That was a near fall. And then Yuka ends up pinning Misao at the springboard 450. That was the long name move I gave before. This is a fun little match, but nothing you got to go out of your way to see or anything. I'd say like 3 stars. Maybe, I don't know if you caught it a little disappointing, but it was just, they just went extra wacky with it. So wasn't a lot to it to me.
I guess for me, I love like the extra wacky, so I really loved it. The gimmick of it that was really funny is that suddenly like Hyper Misao had this like machine, I guess like this that she put on Rika's head that brainwashed her to change Rika's love for Mizuki into Rika now loving Hyper Misao, and like, so I guess Hyper Misao is super excited over, finally being able to have like her love for Rika reciprocated, even if it is through questionable means.
Yeah.
But then of course at some point during the match, the helmet falls off. Yuka actually tries to put it on Kishio, the ref, at some point, though he manages to dodge that. So I guess Misao, and Rika still managed to team well, but I guess there's that early on hijinks. I guess Misao with like now having like, normally she doesn't have any big high tech gadgets. She really just has her like bike as her gadget. But I guess having the brainwashing thing and being kind of the way she is, where she's like technically a heel, but she's so goofy that she's not really like a villain in any sort of meaningful way. It really makes me think of, I don't know, have you seen the show Phineas and Ferb?
No. I mean, I know of
Okay.
it, but I've never seen it.
Okay, so there's this character in it, Dr. Doofenshmirtz, who is constantly trying to take over the tri-state area with like incredibly goofy inventions, and like claims to be evil but really like isn't. Anyways, so Hyper Misao, when she had the gadget, that's the first thing I thought of, was like, oh my god. And so I don't know, I just love Hyper Misao's whole like gimmick where she's like, yes, I am a hero for love and peace, but she's also like constantly cheating and being devious at the same time. I don't know, she's weirdly lovable because she is like incredibly hypocritical.
Yeah.
Which is really hard to I guess pull off. But
she's a heel pretending to be a face who the crowd likes anyway.
Yes.
Yeah. It's
anyway,
very unique.
She's one of my favorites to watch. I always have a smile. So I really enjoyed this match, but I guess if you're not as into her character as I am, it probably won't be as interesting to you.
There you go. Match number 4 was Mirai Mayumi defeating Yuki Arai with the Miramare in 1241. First of all, you'd think an actual honest-to-God idol like Yuki Arai, who's, of course, from the SKE 48 group, the AKB spinoff, you'd think she could have less generic music. Like, she says this very generic song. It's like, what, she couldn't be bothered to sing something? It's just a very generic instrumental.
I felt like at the very least, like they'd play like an SK, whatever SK's latest single is, like behind her. I mean, I don't really follow the 48 groups anymore, so I don't know what they're doing. But so I like, it's really funny. I used to be like deeply into them, and then like I see this girl from the 48 groups, and like when they said Yuki, I guess there's a lot of other girls because Yuki's a very popular name, and there's also like 50 billion 48 group girls. So there's a lot of other girls I thought of that I know, and then like she pops up and like, actually I have no clue who she is. No.
Yeah, I talked to my friend Ethan, who loved, at one point was very deep in the 48 groups too, but he's been out for so long. I was like, do you know Yuki Arai? He's like, no. I don't know who that is.
Like I looked her up and she's like a fairly new member.
I see.
To
well, that would
SKE. Long after I stopped paying attention, and SKU was like, I guess never one of the groups I followed anyways. So like, I only really knew the popular members.
I mean, my friend knows Jarena, obviously, who's been around wrestling a lot,
Yeah.
But does not know she was also SKE 48. But yeah, Yuki Arai is she's long since graduated now. I don't think it's been that long. When did she graduate? Last year, probably.
Serena?
Yeah, last year.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was last year.
Yeah, so not that long ago, but
yeah.
So Yuki
I think
Arai
most of the girls that I know have been out of AKB 48 or like any of the 48 groups for a while now.
Yeah.
Like my favorite graduated in I think like 2016 maybe, or 2017.
Yeah, it's been
and I had already by that point really only been following like her and like a specific other member that I liked from NMB who's also since graduated. So like, yeah, I have no clue what's going on. I always just follow whoever's graduating to see when the girls I know are graduating, and
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure there's like maybe like 1 or 2 girls left that like I know.
Yeah, I mean, I know a ton of people who used to follow the 48 groups closely at some point. I never really did, but they've all stopped long since stopped following them. So
yeah, I mean, I could go on a long rant on like why they like had a downturn, but no one wants to hear about that. This is a wrestling podcast, not a Japanese idol podcast.
Didn't they basically made their own competition, right? Because
yes, they made their own competition, and the competition beat them.
What was the name of that group again?
The first one was Nogizaka 46.
That's the one I can always never remember. I knew it was some other number.
And then there was a second one that they made, Keyakizaka 46, which is like the one that's really like the biggest out of all the 46 and 48 groups right now. So yeah, but Nogizaka is also bigger than most of the 48 groups as well.
Yeah.
But I knew that
they basically play themselves. I know the story.
But, I mean, it's not really playing themselves, because at the end, the guy who created AKB48 is also the guy who created like the 46 groups, the Sakamichi series as they're called. So in the end, he still gets all the money. So I guess he's not really playing himself so much as knowing that AKB and all those groups would go on fine, and he had to create something new before that happened.
Yeah. Well, he played it well then. I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyway, the point though is the 48 groups are still around, and Yuki Arai has a great axe kick, which is why she is now a full-time pro wrestler while still being an idol. So, but yeah, she was good in this match, and they put her against a really good opponent because Mirai is awesome, yeah, she really was a great base here for Yuki. So Yuki at one point seemed to really catch Mirai with a boot to the face at one point. I think it's at one point twice. I'm sorry. But I think that's the kind of thing that maybe happens when you're a rookie. But Mirai was like grabbing the side of her face a lot afterward in a way that did not really look like selling to me. So it looked like she really cracked her. Or maybe I just got worked. Who knows? Yuki and Mirai, they were just really pounding on each other with forearms to the chest before Yuki nearly backslided Mirai for a very close near fall. Mirai came back with a big short arm lariat for her own near fall. And then she finally managed to tap Yuki out with her Kimura. This was better than I was expecting, especially for one of the girls having like 3 matches under her belt. They hit each other hard. Yuki Arai almost looks shockingly good in there. I mean, she's a natural at this. I mean, there's really no other way to put it. She's very clearly better than a lot of other wrestlers, like 3 matches in their career. So 3.5 stars. This was a good match.
I definitely agree. I think she has a lot of potential. I wasn't sure what to think when she showed up because I guess it's kind of like she's an idol who wants to wrestle, and she's still she's not like Ito, who's like a former idol, or like up girls who were formed specifically as idols who wrestle. She's just an idol who wanted to become a wrestler and is still working as an idol. So it's kind of like, did she even have time to train? And I was kind of unsure, but actually she's got a lot of potential to be really, really good. And Mirai, I always love watching Mirai. I think she just has this kind of really cool and powerful aura that is really surprising for someone to have so early in their career. But I think she's always great to watch.
For sure.
So I definitely enjoyed it. It was a surprising match. I was surprised that I enjoyed it, but I really did.
Yeah. Match number 3, Yuki Kamifuku and Nao Kakuta defeating Miyu Watanabe and Mahiro Kiryu. Yuki pinned Kiryu with the Famouser in 11-11. So Miyu Watanabe, her double power slams never cease to amaze me. The girl's strong. But then that underhanded Yuki went to Miyu's eyes to break out of a front suplex. Very underhanded. She and Mahiro suddenly just start hitting each other pretty stiffly. Yuki first with hard slaps to the face, and Mahiro with the hard forearms to the chest. Not something you see in like every Tokyo Joshi undercard match or anything. So they really started laying into each other. Yuki put a stop to that though by hitting the Famouser, and then hit a second running one for the pin. So fun little tag. The stiffness at the end added something to it. I would go 3 1/4.
Yeah, I definitely enjoyed it as well. I think it's really one thing that's really interesting with Kamiyu that is interesting. She seems to be like way meaner in the ring to like people she's friends with.
Yeah.
She's definitely like that with Shirakawa Mina when she was in Tokyo Joshi as well. And I think that's really interesting. I guess she has a tough love kind of thing going on. So, and also I just love Miyu so much. I think she's the best. So I love how she's like, her gimmick is that she's like super adorable and like pink and she's an idol, but also like she can lift up 2 girls at once and it's like no biggie for her.
Yeah.
You know?
She is the strong idol.
Yes.
Match number 2. So here's the big mystery. Who the fuck is Kaya Toribami?
No.
Is she a brand new student under a mask? Is she some other Joshi wrestler under a mask? Because she at some points looks almost too good for a wrestler who's like 2 or 3 matches into her career. Like this match here with Shoko, which Shoko won by the way, and with the unmanned local train hold in 747. Okay. But yeah, this match started out with some really nice mat wrestling. And to me, almost add to the argument that Kaya is likely some Joshi veteran doing this gimmick. Like her technical wrestling was really smooth for a rookie here. But I will give credit to the Joshi podcast on this network, Jumping Bomb Audio, Taylor Mainberg. He mentioned to me like basically all these Tokyo Joshi rookies have been really, really good lately. I mean, look what we just said about Yuki Arai a little earlier. And there's been plenty of other ones too. Like, Mahiro was really good pretty much right from the start, and some other people. But yeah, I mean, like a lot of the Tokyo Joshi students have looked really good. So like, I don't know. I mean, she could just be a student who is a natural for it, but I guess maybe we'll find out at some point. But yeah, I went 3 1/4 on this as well. The mat work early on was really the standout here for me. Very good mat work.
I guess for me, I think Kaya is just. I mean, I understand what's being said about like, oh well, a lot of the students are just really good, but I think there's definitely some sort of, I guess, she seems too used to to wrestling. She seems too smooth and too natural. Because like even like they're really good. There's also you can still kind of tell that they're rookies. Like there's not like there's still awkward bits even if they're really good as well. Whereas she seems too used to wrestling.
I sort of agree.
But at the same time, I don't. That's fine with me. I think I already love her. I think she's great to watch, and also I just love her mask is very cool.
Yeah.
As well, and I think the match itself was really, really fun to watch, really good. And I'm really excited to see what happens with Kaya in Tokyo Joshi, if she's going to be like continue to kind of be treated like just a regular rookie and like slowly make her way up, or if she's going to get more of like a big push going because she's so good, or may not just be a veteran.
Yeah.
I'm interested to see what they're going to do with her, but I think she's fantastic. Shoko's always great, and it was a great match.
The opener was Nodoka Tenma, Yuki Aino, Raku, and Palm Harajuku defeating Suzume, Haruna Neko, Moka Miyamoto, and Arisu Endo. Raku pinned Endo with the Dr. Yellow in 12:05. Everyone in this match really liked to imitate everyone else's entrance pose when they're coming out for some reason. That was kind of funny. But that was, to me, the highlight of the match, honestly. The match itself was fine. Raku pinned Endo with her running neck breaker. It was a pretty typical Tokyo Joshi multi-woman opener here. Enjoyable, nothing really special or standout, but 3 stars, perfectly fine. Just nothing you're gonna remember.
I really enjoyed it. I'm just in general like a big fan of Raku. I think she's really funny.
She's adorable. I mean, that's
yeah, she's adorable. She's really funny, but also like she's like, if you watch her now and compare to her how she was like even like, a year ago, like she's improved so much. She used to feel really like awkward and stuff.
Yeah.
Sometimes, but she's definitely like she's improved really quickly and is now like definitely like doesn't seem to be anything about her that's like particularly like stands out as like awkward or like she needs to work on or anything. She seems way smoother than she was before, and it's always fun to see like, people kind of the trainee, like people who are like, younger trainees and stuff like that kind of come into themselves. Like, like she's been, I think this is her 3rd year wrestling, I think.
I believe that's correct. Yeah.
Yeah. Also, I have to give her big props for wrestling in like Japanese like Lolita fashion. Partially because of course I myself like to dress in Japanese style, like, Lolita fashion. But also because like, because I've worn it, I know how hard it is to like exist in that. And the fact that she wrestles in it is super impressive to me. So
there you go.
Yeah, there you go.
So that's the Tokyo Joshi show. I would say, going back over it, I actually thought it was better than I thought it was when I first started the show. Better than the TDT show, I think, overall, with an awesome main event and some good stuff on the undercard. Maybe my standard for Tokyo Joshi Korakuen is just very high because I usually think I enjoy them a little more than this one, but still a really good show. Still enjoyed it.
Yeah, I mean, same. Like, to me, it's just I kind of took a long hiatus from watching wrestling, so I hadn't like watched it for like a few months until like a few weeks ago. And the only things I was watching to start off with were I was watching AEW, which was interesting. I was very curious because everyone talks about it all the time, and I wanted to see what people were talking about. And the English language 1-match Tokyo Joshi shows, that's JPW, which are really fun to watch because it's just like, it's really easy to watch if you're like someone like me who has a very low attention span. They're only like, they're a little over 20 minutes, and it's just 1 match with English commentary, and pretty good English commentary too. So if you're someone who I guess is kind of curious about Tokyo Joshi but doesn't know where to jump in, I mean, there's been I think like 20 something episodes of it so far, and they're all like very quick to watch, and so for me it was like a good way to kind of jump back into it. So it's probably good also as a way to introduce yourself to it as well. So actually getting to watch like a full Tokyo Joshi show once again, just like I remember like why like out of all the promotions, it's like one of the few where like I don't feel like I need to take a break at any point, because normally like when I watch wrestling shows, I watch them like after they happen, because after like sometimes like 2 or 3 matches, it's like I need to take a break. But this show, it's like I just watched it all the way through. It's like it just feels so fun, and every match feels so different, so it doesn't feel like I'm watching like just one big long wrestling show. It feels like I'm watching like a bunch of just a bunch of every match feels very so unique from each other. It feels like I'm watching just a bunch of different things instead of like one show, which I like about Tokyo Joshi.
Yeah, so it's definitely it is like a lot of fun, and like definitely very light and easy to watch all in one setting. So there you go. Let's wrap things up because we went a lot longer than I thought we were on these two shows. We discussed a lot of random stuff though, so that's probably why. Like, I can't think of many other podcasts I could teach you about, or especially wrestling podcasts that can go into the 48 groups, gal culture, half the other shit we discussed. But definitely a fun time as always with you, Hayley. So anything you want to plug?
I guess I'll plug my Twitter account, which is actually, I don't talk about wrestling a lot in it, but if you like K-pop, then you'll really enjoy my account. I mean, I'm starting to talk about wrestling more in it, but because I took a bit of a hiatus from it, there's not a lot in there. But probably there will be more going forward as I start to get more immersed in it, because as I took a hiatus because I was really disappointed in wrestling for a bit. It just made me feel really depressed, but I ended up missing it so much that I have to watch it again.
It's the eternal cycle.
Yeah, it's just like a compulsion. Like, I must watch wrestling. Like, it's just so good.
We're all just dynamics.
So yeah, my Twitter is Choerry colored, CHOERRY, and then colored spelled the British way. So
I'm glad I'm not the only one with a impossible to explain Twitter handle to random people. And like, you can't just be like, this is my Twitter handle. No, here's how you spell it. I never give out my personal Twitter handle on this show, by the way. I only ever plug the Omakase one. So if you want to find me on Twitter, look around. I don't know. I never give my own Twitter handle.
Yeah. Because mine is I guess hard to explain because it crosses over two very, very unrelated references in it, but it's a K-pop part of it is a K-pop related name, and I mostly tweet about K-pop, so I guess for most people that see my name, it's actually it's somewhat understandable, and so it's not really an issue. But yeah, now saying it to a bunch of wrestling fans who have no clue why I spelled the word cherry that way, or are gonna be like very confused. But it's the name of a K-pop idol. That's all I'll say, because I don't think you want to know more.
Yeah. There you go. So, folks, of course, you can follow us on Twitter at Wrestling Omakase. Wrestling would not fit. Like I said, if you want to join us on the Patreon, it is patreon.com/Wrestling Omakase. That will be the only place to find our mid-year awards coming up this weekend. If you are not going to join us on the Patreon, we will see you back here in 2 weeks for our next free episode, which will cover the King of DDT finals from July 4th. Probably some other stuff too. Haven't figured out yet exactly what. Waiting to see if this Noah Yokohama Radiant Hall show from the July 3rd is anything worth covering. So we'll get back to you on that. But yes, definitely the DDT final. Obviously, that will be the big thing for that episode. In the meantime, thank you as always for listening, and I will see you next time.